Hi, Katzcradul here with
Pepper.
and tonight we're going to make sausage gravy for you. One of the things I noticed when I took my sausage out was that the roll was much shortened from the last time I bought it. I only buy sausage when it's on sale for 99 cents for a 1 pound roll, and I picked this one up and guess what? It was only 12 ounces. So it may look like you're still paying the same price, but you're paying a lot more. So notice how many things they're doing that. They're shortchanging you on the amount of food they're selling you. Here's what's going to go into our sausage gravy. Onion powder, crushed red pepper flakes, that's optional, some black pepper, fresh ground black pepper, some flour, and some milk, and here's the salt. We forgot to put that down. So that's all that goes in there. The onion powder adds a real nice flavor. This is my cast iron skillet that I'm warming up for you, and it helps if you let your sausage come to room temperature because it's easier to break up in your pan. It's still, it's still a little bit of work, but it's a lot easier. I had never tasted sausage gravy until I moved to Missouri. In Texas, we had sausage and we had gravy, but we never had sausage gravy with a little gravy mixed up in it. So this was new for me, and everybody makes it here in the Midwest. I got this started, and then Prepare was able to finish it. That's not very hard, is it?
Not very much at all.
Yep, she just kept breaking it up after I gave her the spoon and stirred it all around. She finished it up for me. Usually, sausage yields up a lot of fat. This had a lot less than I expected. All you do is just keep breaking it up as your skillet gets hot, then the sausage will soften. This mostly is for people who don't have a lot of kitchen experience. I know a lot of my viewers, you already know how to do this, but so here's the grease I was left with, and I just kind of tilt my pan. I want about 3 cups of gravy, which means I need about 3 tablespoons of fat. For every cup of gravy, you're going to want, I'm turning the heat on high now. For every cup of gravy, you're going to want 1 tablespoon of flour to 1 tablespoon of fat. Because I want 3 cups of gravy, I leave about 3 tablespoons of fat in the skillet and add 3 tablespoons of flour. If you ended up with more fat than that, just spoon it out into a little bowl that's not heat sensitive, because that fat's going to be very hot. So this was just the perfect amount for me. I end up adding a little bit more flour because as it heats up, the sausage renders just a little more fat, so I want to be sure I don't see any fat floating around. There's a little bit of red pepper flakes. We like that little zing in our sausage gravy. And here's the little bit of onion powder. That really is kind of like the secret ingredient that makes it taste like good sausage gravy you would get at a fine diner. So I'm just stirring it around and looking to see if there's enough flour to fat. It's looking pretty good there. The fire is on, the element is on really hot there. I'm going to add just a little flour because it's bubbling a little too much with the fat that was in it. So I'm just stirring to look and see if that consistency is right. I'm just going to end up adding the last little dab of flour, stirring it in, and then that's looking pretty right. You want it to look kind of thick and bubbly, but you don't want to look like there's a lot of extra fat in there. That's not really very appetizing when you get ready to serve your gravy. So I think that looks pretty good to me. I'm just stirring it now to cook that flour, because if you just start adding your milk right away, it ends up tasting a little raw. You can taste the little granules of flour. So you want to cook it really good. A long time ago, I would have scooped out the sausage and then made the roux and then put the sausage back in, but now I just do it all together. This is freeze-dried sausage. I could make this strictly as a pantry meal using that freeze-dried sausage. I would have done it a little differently. I would have just put some fat, maybe some bacon drippings in the pan with some flour and made my roux. Added boiling water to my sausage to rehydrate it, and then put it in my skillet. Today I'm just using fresh sausage, but I certainly could make it completely as a pantry meal. Here I'm going to use shelf-stable whole milk to make my gravy. And when you're making gravy like this, you don't want to necessarily put hot liquid into that gravy. You want to put cold liquid. So I'm putting cold milk into the hot roux and meat Stir it, keep adding milk all the time because it will start to clump up if you don't put enough liquid fast enough. If you are new to making a gravy like this, you may want to use a whisk. I'm using my wooden spoon because I know exactly how much I need to stir and exactly how it's supposed to look. The pan is so hot that the gravy almost thickens immediately. You can see I keep adding milk. It's still way too thick, but stirring constantly to get the right consistency. This Gosner shelf-stable milk is wonderful. I love having it around. If I run out of milk or don't feel like mixing up some powdered milk, all I have to do is just open a carton of that. Do you like it too, Prepare?
I love Gosner milk. I have it nearly every morning with chocolate milk.
Yeah, it's her favorite. She loves that Gosner milk. Okay, now the other thing you can do, if you don't want it quite as rich, and it is pretty rich with the whole milk, you can add some water, and that's what I'm going to do here. I put a little bit of water in to thin it out just a little bit. I think it tastes better. It's not quite as heavy a taste because it has plenty of flavor. I mean, it's got the fat from the sausage itself, and that beautiful whole milk. So you can just add, I mean, you don't have to, but I like it better with just a little bit of water. And of course, to me, it's not a good sausage gravy unless it has copious amounts of freshly cracked black pepper. To me, that's just what makes it. And I even want black pepper again once I plate it up. I want a little sprinkling of black pepper. Don't you think so too?
Yes, definitely the black pepper. I put even more red pepper on mine too.
Yeah, she's a pepper girl. It does need a good bit of salt. Remember, you've added flour, which has absolutely no taste to it whatsoever, and the whole milk, which would not lend any salty flavor. Sometimes the meat itself may add a little bit. So it's really important. The difference between a great cream gravy and a just okay cream gravy is the seasoning. And I think the onion powder and black pepper make a difference, but salt is absolutely necessary, and you must get it right. So keep tasting. Now, if you're going to leave this on the stove a long time and it's going to cook down and a lot of the water is going to evaporate out, you want to be careful salting it, because if that water evaporates out, it will be too salty. So really, you check that at the very end to make sure it's right. Here are the biscuits coming out of the oven. I made it on another video today, so just look either ahead of or behind this video and you'll see the recipe for how to make my square biscuits. So I'm going to cut one out of the pan here. The corner one's always the one that's a little tough to get out, so I kind of send my little small spatula down on all the seams there and pull that out. You're going to see how nicely browned they are on the bottom. And I'm going to fix Prepper A's plate first. You like that, don't you?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, here's a light, fluffy biscuit. I'm going to just spoon some of the beautiful gravy over the top. It's Sunday night, so I don't make a big fancy meal on Sunday night. I'm showing you here, if you see lots of grease floating around your pan, you have either one, left too much grease in your gravy, or not added enough flour when you built your roux. But this gravy is perfect. I just saw a couple little drops on top. There we go. Gravy spooned over the biscuits. I'm going to make Paladin Prepper's plate, and then we're going to head to the table. This is a nice thing to have with the gravy because the gravy is kind of a heavy taste, so I opened up a can of my home canned oranges and grapefruit. I canned them together, and Prepper A went out and picked raspberries out of our garden. So I'm just going to toss those together, and I'm going to serve her a bowl first of the fruit salad. It's delicious. The canned oranges and grapefruit taste just like you peeled them fresh, and then I've added the fresh raspberries, and that's the own liquid from the citrus. So that is really a nice combination. The simple biscuits and gravy, and then a little fresh fruit salad on the side. She's going to taste it here. I know what she thought, but she's sitting right beside me, so she can tell you.
It was absolutely delicious. I love the gravy is so good. I love the sausage and the various seasonings. Biscuits were awesome. And look at that fruit salad. Beautiful, beautiful. And it was awesome. Like Katzcradul said, a good clean flavor after the delicious gravy.
Yeah, and the raspberries, we transplanted some raspberries last year that came up from the original raspberry plant, so they're even producing now. I always put some honey and butter on the table in case somebody wants a dessert biscuit at the end, to mix a little honey and butter and put on a little tiny biscuit at the end. And that was pretty good, wasn't it?
Definitely.
All right. Hope you try the sausage gravy. It's easy and delicious and has many applications. Katzcradul and
Prepare.